Okay, let's continue. And the next topic is how can we write a file? Okay, the first step, of course, will be you want to open a file and you want to open the file for writing. So the character you want to specify for the purpose, instead of R for read, it should be W for write. And the next thing will be you want to do a write method. So you want to write, and as we can expect, you want to write a string to the file, right? So let me just play with the code. And even though we haven't seen all the code yet, but we can try to play with that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to write a file. So I want to do a output. And then inside of doing the R, I want to do a W because I'm writing the content. And then I want to write some content. Say file reference dot write. Say I want to write my name Yang, and the next thing I want to write is song, and the next part I want to write is a Python teacher. Okay, so well, as you can see in this folder, I don't really have a file called output.txt yet. And let's see if it works. If it works, and then this file should be created, and inside we are going to have 3 lines. And eventually I'm going to close this file. Okay, so let me run this. Oh, good. We do have this file called output.txt. And when I open that, not quite correct. What's wrong with that? Well, when I'm writing the content, I didn't really do a line break. When a line break is not done, and remember, Python is not doing the line break for you, so you have to do that by yourself. So this file is bad. Okay, so let me delete this file for now. Delete anyway. Okay, so this file is deleted, and remember to do a line break. I want to do a \n at the end of this line. Okay, so now I'm still writing the same thing, but after each line I do a \n by myself, and the output is deleted, so I want to run this again. Okay, output is generated again. Okay, now that's good. Okay, and I want to do something even harder. How about I want to do something else? Say I want to delete the first 2 lines, and I want to do the next line. Say hello from a Python teacher. Okay, so I deleted the former content, and then I want to write one more line. And the question I want to ask is, there is already such a file. Can I open the file again and then do the writing? If I can open the file and do the writing, what will happen to the existing content? Okay, let's try that. Okay, I run the file. I run this program, and then if I open this file, now you see the weird thing. Previously, we have 3 lines of code, 3 lines of the content in this output.txt. When I run this program again, what happened? All the existing content are erased, and then I got the new content written, right? So all the existing content will be erased, and that's kind of a strange or risky thing about writing a file. You do want to pay attention to that. But anyhow, the way it works is when you open a file for writing, if that file is not on that file path, that file will be created, and then we will write to that file. Another case will be if you do have such a file, all the content will be erased, and then the new content will be written. Okay, so let's come back to our lecture notes, and we have talked about this part, and we know we have to open the reference, and then we have to do a write. Okay, and let's see a hard example. So for this file, this is the input file, and then I'm reading this input file, and then I'm also creating a file reference called file out. So I have a file in for the input and file out for the output. And for the output, I'm gonna keep the names and drop the other information. Okay, so for the file, I'm reading the file in, so I'm reading a line, and then I'm doing the split again. So I'm separating each line into the first name, the last name, and the department. And then I'm grabbing only the first name, the last name, separated by a space, and then remember we have to do the \n by ourselves, because for the right it doesn't do that for us. So that is the first name with a space, the last name, and a line break. So for the first line, we read Yang, Song, computer science, and then after doing the split by comma, we grab the first part, Yang, a space, a second part which is Song, and a line break, and we write that into the file out. Okay? So this is the process, and then eventually we will be able to write Yang space Song and a line break, and then Mark space Lammers, and then another line break. Okay, and just now we find the issue, that is if we open a file with W and all the content inside this file will be erased. Sometimes we don't want to do that, right? And how can we append the new content to the end of this file? And the answer is we can do A instead of W. Okay, A is for append. So we open this file for writing purpose, but we don't erase the content, we just append the new content to the end. So from this file to this file, the only thing changed will be the A here. If you want to keep the current content in that file, you want to open that file with an A instead of W. Okay, and another question we want to ask is, what if a file does not exist when we try to open that for reading purpose? Well, remember, if you want to open a file for writing purpose, this file doesn't exist, no worries, Python will create that file for us. However, if you're trying to read a file and that file is not there, and then we do have a problem, and then we are going to find a specific error called file not found error. That is Python telling us no, there's no such file, and how can we fix it? And remember, at earlier of this lecture we talked about error handling, right? So to open a file, this can be considered as a risky statement. If it is risky, we want to put that into the try block. This is what we are going to do. Say we ask the user to give us a file name, and the user might be wrong about the file name, so we want to try to open that file for reading purpose. So if this file is there, and then we are able to read this file, we are able to open this file for reading, everything's good, no exception, and then the except part will be skipped, so everything's good. However, if we do have a file not found error, and then this will be handled by the except block. And in the except block, one thing we haven't seen is we can use the except to handle a specific type of the errors. And in this case, it's going to be file not found error. So how do I know it's going to be this type of error? Because we have already tried this part of the code. If the file is not there, and then we are going to receive an error, the type is file not found error. So now I want to use the except to handle specifically that error type. So if we do have the file not found error, and then it will trigger the except block, and then I will print I cannot find the file. Okay, so this is the combination of the error handling with the file operations. And here is another example. Well, sometimes you want to ask the user again and again and again. Eventually, you want to make sure the user give you something good. And for example, if we want to ask the user to give us a file name, if the file name is good, and then okay, and then we are done. But if the user gives us something and then the file cannot be accessed, we want to ask the user again and again and again until the user gives me a file name that I can open. And how do I do that? So the number one, I want to ask you this question: is that a definite loop or indefinite loop? That should be an indefinite loop, because I don't know how many runs I'm going to repeat until the user gives me something reasonable, right? And then the next question will be, when the user gives me something readable, something accessible, and then I should finish this iteration. And how can I do that? Is that going to be a continue or break? It's going to be a break, because as soon as I have the file name, I'm able to read that file, and then this indefinite loop can be stopped immediately. So that should be a break. Okay, so let's take a look on this code. So at the very beginning, I asked the user to input a file name, and well, while one, that is, this iteration will never end, but inside I do have a break that will be the exit. Okay, and I will try to open the file, and then if the file is good, so this line of the code can be executed without any issue, and I'm doing a break immediately because that file name is good. Otherwise, well, I'm gonna handle this file not found arrow, and then I'm gonna ask the user to type a file name again. So this iteration is gonna continue forever because that is a 1 here, and that 1 will be considered as a true. However, if we are able to hit this break, and then this iteration will finish. So how long will this iteration run? I don't know, but as long as I have a accessible file name, and then this iteration will be finished. Okay? Okay, so now that's everything I prepared for today's lecture, and I will do another video for the daily exercise. And plus, today's content is very important. Why? Because you're definitely going to see that in the midterm too. And plus, in the final exam, we are going to have at least one question, probably two questions, testing how to read a file and how to write to a file. Okay, so today you do want to have some exercise. Okay, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.